What's going on, Vapor fans? Today we're going to be talking about the Strider mod from Asvape. Now this thing comes in a nifty little packaging and it opens up like so. I like that very much. So is this mod all that it's cracked up to be? It is a 26650 mod. So to find out, you're just going to have to stay tuned with us. Alright, as always guys, we begin the video with the dive cam over here. So Asvape Strider mod, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and slide this thing open. Opens kind of like, it has a really nice presentation. Like when it opens up over here, it's almost as if like it should have been cologne or a bottle of wine or something like that, maybe a cognac or something like but I dig that very much. So comes with the Strider mod itself and then a little rolled up user manual. So I'm gonna set the box aside, okay, and let's talk about this little guy. Okay, before I forget, I do want to mention that the box does come with a USB cable and an 18650 adapter. So here's the mod by its lonesome. Okay, I have the door compartment open over here and it looks like this. Okay, so it's the negative and the positive like so. This thing takes a 26650 battery, right? And this thing is a 75-watt device, and it goes into TC modes, but very basic, simple TC mode. So it only does like nickel, titanium, and stainless steel. But I mean, these days, who's doing nickel and titanium anymore, right? So mostly just on the stainless steel. Other than that, it has some pretty nifty settings inside, okay, and it very reminiscent of like how the Yeehee boards are with, like, you know, the powerful plus, soft, and whatever. So what I'm gonna do first is let's talk about the batteries, okay. So I just have like a random eFest battery over here, okay. Real side note real quick, okay, just to talk about 26650s, because I know everybody really wants my opinion on 26650s. I will get to this, okay. Up until so far, all right, there hasn't been really a 26650 up to like what I think is really kick-ass so far, okay. They just are, okay. Some of them, you know, that have a little bit more milliamp hours will run pretty hot. Some of them with the lower milliamp hours perform pretty decent as a 20 amp-ish battery, okay? So no matter whatever it says, like 32, 64, whatever, I will show you guys benchmark tests of these things. And generally, most 26650s are roughly around the 20 amp area, if not lower, all right? So is that okay for the 75 watt over here, right? Actually, it's not bad. There is a nice buck boost chip inside over here, and it runs better than you think, and I will prove that to you guys later on, okay? So what I want to get into with the 26650s is I need to show you some stuff, right? Here I have quite a few 26650s, okay? And although by eye we can't really tell too much, right? It requires us to go with digital calipers in order to get the actual sizing of this thing, okay? Now, I'm not going to bother with the other two over here because I already know that they don't fit. This one is going to fit. Now, keep in mind, guys, when you're rocking digital calipers, okay? When you're playing with digital calipers, I have a plastic one over here, okay? A lot of digital calipers are metal, so you do not want to touch the positive and negative with metal ones, okay? But because I have a plastic one over here, I'm not going to create a short. So what I'm going to show you, right, is that I'm going to calibrate the length of this thing, okay? And then you see how this thing is like, you know, 65.9, 65.8, something like that, 65.9, somewhere around here, okay? This is the maximum length of 26650 that the Strider mod can take, okay? So when I go ahead and I drop this mod in here, right, I could go ahead and put the door on like so, okay, and then twist this in and then, you know, get it in there, okay? Now there, now it's flush and it's sitting inside. You can see that, right? However, my problem is that, let's say if I went with the VAP power one, which is this battery has been around for a very very long time. Now to the eye, they look about the same, okay? But you see, I'm struggling already to try to get this in, and then look, I'm fighting it real hard. You can see the pressure in my nail, right? And that's as far as it goes. See that hairline differences? That's what I don't like about this thing, okay? This has nothing to do with Strider or Asvape or anything like that, okay? It has to do with the fact that all 26 650s, the length of it is not 650. Some are longer, some are shorter. You know what I mean? The protection on it, the way that it's built, it's just different, and it drives me insane. Okay, so when it comes to peg, which 26 650 do you recommend? I cannot tell you as of yet, because not only is it going to be important of exactly what the specs are with like milliamp hours and what kind of amps it can hold, the length of the battery for your general mods is also very very important. Now granted, this thing is spring loaded inside. The positive pin is spring loaded inside, right? Which is something I'm actually kind of against, though. Okay, not a big deal. It's not going to change anything or whatever. But I would very, very much prefer that in most mods, the adjustability, the height adjustability, is on the negative side. Why? Because it's just a flatter side, you know, versus, you know, this could be a flat top, you know, they come in button tops, they come in like whatever, and it's just a general rule of thumb kind of thing. But because of the surface of this thing is so big or whatever, you know, and this pin is like so small, right? So I guess it doesn't really matter if it's positive or negative. But generally, I hope manufacturers listen out there that, like, if for the spring loaded stuff or whatever, try to keep that negative. You know what I mean? Like this thing could have been wired up completely opposite, so that, like, you know, it drops in like so, as opposed to dropping in like this, and then this thing would have been like, you know, so much better. Okay, let's move on over here. So I'm gonna drop my battery back inside, and then let's seal the sewer cap. Okay, so nice little USB port over here, okay, for charging and stuff. I do like the carbon fiber finish, right? You know, nothing pops out or anything like that. It's fatter over here, and then it's slimmer on this side, okay? This thing supports real big boys, like, you know, your 25 and a half millimeter atomizers, right? 25.5. This thing is going to sit on it very very nicely, right? I dig that very very much. The next thing is that little jewel button over here, okay? Okay, this is going to be a pet peeve and a thing for everybody, but let's just get it out of the way, right? When you shake the mod, does it rattle? No, it doesn't rattle. Okay, so happy for everyone. All right. For those of you who don't care, you don't care. But for those of you who care, because what is the big deal about, like, you know, buttons rattling, and do they rattle, do they not rattle? What are you vaping and shaking your mod? No, it's not about that. It's about attention to detail. Okay, if this thing is all like, you know, like rattly and whatever, right? It just means, you know, how much heart, how much effort, how much quality control was put into the device. That's all it really is. Okay, it's not about, like, you know, are you shaking your mod while you're vaping? Not at all. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, to turn it on as vape over here. Okay, as if, kidding. All right, so it's default at 40 watts right now. Okay, now what I want to show you guys is that, like, 1 2 3 1 2 wait, sorry, 1 2 3 4 5, like that, right? So with the power mode over here, okay, we could select this to become like temperature mode, but then they also have like this VPC mode over here, right? So D1 through D5, this is the D5 setting right now, and then you could go ahead and edit these, right? So what it is that can we just, how do we get out of this thing? All right, let me shut this off real quick. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. So what do they have over here in the instruction manual? okay, is that they have like these wattage settings. Okay, so there's different kinds of recommended curves. So this thing says pulse mode, ramp up mode, competition mode, blah, whatever. These are just names for stuff. Okay, when you take a look at what is going on over here, it kind of sort of makes sense. It's just plotting points of what your wattages is going to be. So you can have your first point at 75, 75, and then it dips down and then it comes back up. Or you can have it like this, the pulse mode, which is 20, 75, 20, 75. So it's up and down kind of wave, you know? And then what I like about it is that, like, you know, for each of these modes, the screen earlier, right? What the settings were, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. This thing on the VPC, you can see the graph of it. So the way that, you know, you vape and the way that it comes out. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest feature out of this. And I haven't seen much innovation inside of mods recently. You know what I mean? We do all sorts of you know, TCR settings, and we do, like, you know, these temperature control settings and stuff like that. There hasn't been much changes in anything, so this is kind of a neat feature that I'm liking very much. Okay, so guys, we're over here at the screen cap, and we'll pull up the Ohm's law calculator to see if this thing really lives up to the numbers that it's putting out. Okay, so again, 40 watts default over here. So with me, I have a little atomizer. You may be wondering, what the hell is this thing? This is my own design. Okay, it is not finished. This is a beta. I'm not going to show you the inner workings just yet, but it is a kick-ass atomizer. But we'll get into it some other time. Right now, I'm just going to put this on top and let it sit there. I love exactly how flush it sits, exactly with the same size as the 510 on top. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this and then just let it go, and then you see that it's at 15. Let's try to get this a little more clear. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, try to get this a little more clear. There we go. Okay, so the ohms is at, the resistance is at 15, right? Okay, and then we fire, and then what does the voltage say? The voltage says 2.6. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and then turn this thing up, and then let's go all the way up to 75 watts. Right, so I'm gonna take a vape on this first. Okay, just to show you that it's working very nicely. So right now, okay, it says 16, and then I fire, and then 3.52. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but on my hands it says 3.62, 3.62, 3.63. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead all over here. Okay, and then we put in 3.62, right? And then the resistance was 0.16 over here, right? And calculate. Right, so this gives us a total of 81.9 watts over here. All right, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to unscrew. Okay, so we're back here, and let's give it a little test fire with our voltmeter on. It's about 4.0, 4.23, 4.34, 4.2, somewhere around there. And I have not changed the resistance or anything. Okay, and then when it fires over here, okay, it says 0.2, 3.93. What is it actually? 4.16, 4.2. Okay. All right, so where can you get this little guy? Well, when I did a real quick Google search, I found it on Heaven's Gifts, 3F Vape, and then also on Vape Sourcing over here, okay? So Heaven's Gifts has it for $129, and then 3F has it for $118, and then Vape Sourcing has it for $150. So roughly around that range. I didn't get any deeper to see if it comes any cheaper. So let's come back up to FaceTime. Let me give you my final thoughts, and let's wrap this up. Wow, so the Strider mount, what do I think of it? Little bit on the pricey side, kinda, sorta, right? But the thing is that, like, it is kind of on its own, right? It's unique, like on its own. If you guys are in the market for a 26650 mod, I actually do recommend the Strider because of its power point. As a battery guy, I'm always looking at stuff from like, you know, a power perspective, right? So the buck boost chip inside that I was saying before, plus, you know, putting it on the voltmeter, granted, it's trying to say that it's 75 watts. If you crank it up all the way to the max, it does output more than the 75 watts, and that's really happy for me. You know what I mean? Because when you're talking about like single battery, 75 watt range, yeah, it probably better be able to max out the way that, you know, it claims to do, if not give you a little bit more. That's very good, okay, as opposed to like, you know, most 200 watt mods out there where like, you know, it's only giving you 160, but that's not really a big deal because I mean most of us are not vaping past 160 anyways, right? But when it comes to ranges like this, say you're vaping between like, you know, 20, 30, 40, and then every now and then, you know, for that big cloud or whatever, you will be going into 75 watts. Cranking this thing up to 75 watts will actually put you somewhere closer to like, you know, the 81, 82 watt area, okay? So it says what it does and it does what it says. I mean, what more can you ask for these days, right? And as far as the VPN settings and stuff like that, I think that's kind of a keen feature. So that's it for our review on the Asvape Strider mod. As we always say here on PVA, question everything, do your homework, vape clever, everyone. Take care.